Now check it. Most first-year high school coaches walk into their first season thinking the playbook is definitely going to save them. They spend the whole offseason drawing up their schemes, installing their formations, putting together their practice scripts, and of course, you know they got to be watching their film, right? And then week one hits. Players, they just not listening, right? The locker room is loud, the sideline is in chaos, the other coaches don't know their roles, and the head coach, or in some cases, if you're the head coach, you don't have none of the answers. Well, here's the truth nobody has told you before your first season. The playbook doesn't fail program. And the difference between a first-year coach who survives and the one who gets eaten alive, man, it's not the talent evaluation like everybody think it is. It's not the scheme. It's not even the experience. Man, it's that structure. Structure can carry you a long way. Sometimes we just don't have it. All right. So if you're heading into your first season as a high school coach, or even if you are beginning your youth career, whether you're the position coach, whether you're a coordinator, or whether it's your first time as a head coach, this video is going to give you what nobody's giving you before. Do me a favor, stay tuned. We're going to hit you with a lot of good. So, yo, what's good, everyone? My name is Anthony Porter. I am the founder of the Coaches Corner Network. I have spent years in real locker rooms with real players, learning real lessons the very hard way. See, I didn't start with the perfect playbook. See, I started with a passion. I had some football IQ. I had zero idea how to actually run a freaking program. And I made the mistakes I'm about to warn you about. I mean, it's plain and simple. Sometimes you fall flat on your face, but sometimes you got to figure out how you're going to get back up. As I have coached players who have shown up to practice with no discipline, no direction, no buy-in. And listen, in this day and age, it's probably about 95% of the players who are out here. And I'm just being real with it because a lot of these players have outside entities in their ears. But what I had to do is I had to figure out fast that the problem wasn't the players. And see, that's another thing people tend to do. They tend to just blame the players. You can't blame the players because guess what? It's your program. And just like for me, it was my program. So guess what? It was me. It was my structure. It was the absence of a system. Now, in this video, I'm going to give you the 5 things nobody tells first year coaches, high school coaches, and even youth coaches before they kick off their season. Not a scheme, not plays, and not your depth chart. All right. See, the foundation principles that determine whether the first season builds your, reputation or damages it. If this is your first year coaching, if you're a position coach, a coordinator, or a head coach, youth coach, it doesn't make a difference. This is for you. Let's get into it. All right. All right. So let's talk about lesson number 1. Players don't follow the playbooks. Players follow standards. Here's the first thing nobody tells you. Your players don't care about your scheme on day one. They're watching you. They're watching how you handle the kid who's late to practice. They're watching what happens when someone gives half effort in a drill. They're watching how you respond when that so-called star player breaks a rule. That's what they're studying. They're studying you, my guy. And in those first 2 weeks, these are the most critical situations that you could ever be in. You are establishing the standards, whether you know it or you don't. It's plain and simple. They either gonna trust you or they gonna bust you. Now the question is, are those standards internal or accidental? You gotta be the judge of that. See, most first-year coaches establish accidental standards. They let the late kid slide because he's the starter. They overlook effort because they don't have the numbers. They talk about accountability, but don't enforce it. And the players see that, man. Man, these teenagers these days, they see everything. They're not as naive as you think they are. Every single one of them peeping game. Every single one of them sitting back, watching to see what happens if little Timmy gets disciplined like you discipline little Jay. Now, here's what you need to do instead. Before your first practice, cop a squat. Write down your non-negotiables. Not your goals, that's them non-negotiables. Those are the things that you need to have lined out before you even sit down, before you call a play, before you draw up a scheme. This is what you have to have. This is what you need. And those non-negotiables, what you will never tolerate, no matter who that player is. So you got to write them down. Number 1, you would never disrespect a coach or a teammate. If you allow that to happen, you've lost already. Number two, you cannot allow lack of effort in a drill. Went through this a few times. Players thought they could just half do it or not do it at all. Found out I'm that guy. That guy will sit you on the sideline and have you holding the clipboard or going to the concession stand for me in the middle of a game because I didn't eat lunch at work the day earlier that day. We are not going to have non-negotiables of chronic lateness, meaning you can't be late to my practice. Here's the problem I have with that. You're in school. Your schedule should be get out of class, head to the locker room, get some water, not go see your girlfriend, not go see that. So these are the things that you have to establish with these players before you even touch the field. And then, last but not least, we will not allow you to talk back on the sideline. That's just not going to happen. We are trying to build a winning program, a winning culture. And if you want to be in that situation, guess what you got to do? You're going to have to follow the rules. So, what you need to do is write that down on a piece of paper. Matter of fact, write that down on that paper. And then your first day, that's the first thing you communicate clearly. After that day, what you need to do is you need to take and put that non-negotiable list on a by 11 poster board and hang that on your wall as they walk through the door. They see that, they know it's non-negotiable. All right. Now, you don't have to sit down and talk to them like it's a threat. A lot of people have this problem because they talk at the player and not to the player. So it's not a threat. You just let them know these are the standards. This is how this program is going to be ran. I don't know how y'all did it last year. This is how we get down over here. Okay. This is how it's going to be ran now at ABC High School. All right. This is how it's going to be ran at XYZ Youth Program. Okay. See, the program over players framework starts here with standards. You got to have standards because great teams aren't built from great players. They're built from non-negotiables that every single player knows and respects. If your program doesn't have standards, if they're not written down, if they're not spoken, if they're not enforced, you don't have a program. All you have is a glorified practice. That's it. Glorified practice. Now, I know some people out here like, man, who was this cat? Believe it or not, coaching for 30 years. Might not look it. Been coaching for 30 years. 11 on the high school level. 2 defensive coordinator stints. They try to make me a get back coach, but that don't work. I don't get back. I charge forward. I'm that coach that everybody wants to have their kid around because guess what? I can relate to them. All right. If you can relate to the kid, you have won the locker room. A lot of people don't like that. I felt that out too. Now, this leads me into the second lesson. Communication is your most important tool in coaching. See, you got to understand this now. See, most first-year coaches think preparation is everything and that the preparation just matters. But communication determines whether your preparation is translated. Here's what I mean. You can have a perfectly script practice, every drill timed out, scheduled, ready to go, every install broken down, great scheme on paper. You look like Nick freaking Saban. But if your players don't understand what you're asking of them, if they don't understand what it is you want them to do, if your language is too complex, too technical, even too fast, that practice script is worth about as much as the dirt that we practice on. So here's the truth from what you need to understand. Confusion is the enemy of execution. See, when players hesitate, it's usually not because they're not talented enough. It's because they're not clear enough. You understand what I'm saying? They don't know if they are aligned right. They don't know if they're supposed to zone or man. They don't know if it's a switch call or a bracket. And instead of asking because they don't want to look dumb in front of their teammates, because you know how these cats are nowadays, they gonna rag you. They gonna come at you. They just have to guessing, man. And guessing under pressure becomes, busted assignments. And a busted assignment in the game becomes a touchdown for the other team. Now, your job as a coach is to eliminate the confusion before it creates chaos. Now, here's a simple drill that I call the teach back method. All right. When you install a concept, don't just ask everyone, do they understand? Because every player in the room will nod their head, yes, coach. Instead, pull a player to the front of the room. Ask them to explain it back to you in their own words. If they can explain it, then they know it. If they can't, you've identified a gap because it shows up in the game. Do this every single time you go and you install something and make this the norm, make this the culture. Make this what they need to know. Here's a quick pro tip for y'all. When you are starting out, make sure that you go out, go to the dollar store, go to Family Dollar. It doesn't make a difference. 25, depending on how many people you got on your staff and depending on how many kids is in your program, if it's like 30, man, you can spend 40, $50. Get some pens, get some notebooks, make sure every film session is set up that way. Because you can start asking questions. They'll be like, Coach, we in school? Yeah. Because this is how winning programs win. I have had the pleasure to be around winning coaches. I had the opportunity to be around a gentleman by the name of Ty Scroggins from Central. His whole staff was remarkable. I had the opportunity to I have a good friend and a gentleman named Ron Wakefield. All right. He was the defensive coordinator on a state winning team at Louisville Mill High School. I've had the pleasure to walk up and just pick the brain of Coach Bob Beatty, who won multiple championships at Trinity High School. I'm a sponge for the game. And what they did is they communicate. They communicate with their players. They don't mind talking to you. They just don't want to be put in vicarious positions that they think that you're just trying to get over on. All right. Now, understand this. Your communication doesn't just stop with the players. Your communication needs to be clear with your coaching staff just as well. What is your role? What's theirs? Who owns the film meeting? Who runs the position groups? What chain of command is on the sideline? That's a big one. That is a very big one right there because a lot of people, man, don't understand. Most high school teams, most college teams, if a penalty happens, we're going to the referee. The referee goes to the head coach. Why are you arguing with the ref? That does not happen. Culture, you set the standards. Coaches, you set them standards. All right. So before your first game, every coach on the side, on your staff should know what I am responsible for. What does success look like in my role? If that conversation hasn't happened, every week 1, you can't walk on the field without having this conversation. All right. I'm good at this. Parents want to ask me a question, I got a 48-hour rule. You can't ask me nothing for 48 hours. And then when my 48 hours is up, I'm going to point you to the head coach. 95% of the time, he's the face of the program. If your ego allows you to think that you can outshine the head coach, you got a problem. You to cancel the team. All right. Now, what you got to do now is lesson number 3 is you got to establish the practice culture. For week 1, this is where a lot of the first-year coaches get it wrong. They think game week is the test. It's not. Practice week is your test. See, the game plan mindset system is built on what we call truth. Football is not won on Friday nights. No, man, you coaches think you can. Listen, you might go out and score the most points and shut down them from scoring a lot of points, and you get the victory, the L's, and all of that. But you just didn't win on Friday night. Man, football's won Monday through Thursday. I have a saying. When I was telling my team just the other day, I have a saying. I said, hey, listen up. You're going to hear me say, we need to have a perfect practice. And now look, understand what I'm saying? I know you're a teenager. Me telling you to have a perfect practice means I want you to go out here and give me 110%. I want it hard Monday through Thursday because Friday's payday. So here's a question I need for you to answer right now. What does an elite practice to you look like in your program? Remember, I've been doing this for 11 years. I've had fun coaching at schools where we don't have those star athletes. We have a group of kids that we've made buy in. And when they bought in, practice became fun, things became interesting. I've never coached at a program where the kids only wanted to play defense because we made it fun on that side of the ball. We made it fun. So now here's what I want to do. Let me give you 4 elements of high execution practices. All right. See, number 1 is tempo. Practice should be high energy, not chaos, just energy. Players should move fast between drills. Head time is the enemy of your momentum. Put a clock on your drills and hold yourself accountable for it. All right. Now, number 2, purpose. Every rep should have a why. Don't just run a drill because it's on the script. Tell the players why this drill exists. Hey, we're running this because when we see cover 2, we need our receivers to work the middle of the field. The drill teaches you how to get inside of that window. All right. When players understand the why, they execute it with intent. All right. Now, number 3, correction without humiliation. This is one of the big ones that just burns the inside of my soul because correction is a part of coaching. But how you correct determines whether the players trust you or fear you. Now, Some coaches can't take the way I do my corrections. I'm sarcastic. But you couldn't tell me that, or you couldn't tell my players that because once I get smart with them, jokingly sometimes, then I'll slide over and be like, well, here's why I said what I said, and here's why this is why Coach such and such needs for you to do this. Coach, I got it then. Because see, how I correct and how you should correct determines whether the player trusts you or fear you. All right. So please don't embarrass a player in front of his teammates just to prove a point. You cannot live vicariously through this team. If you are out there showing up with your bling bling on, trying to look good on the sidelines, and your program is a mess, honestly, you don't need to be coaching. Here's what you got to do with that player. Just pull them to the side, correct the technique, explain what it should look like, and then send him back in. I had a good friend, he's a good friend now, Jim Brennan. He done that in a game. He's correcting something, and we're in the middle of calling a play. And I'm looking at him, he's down here correcting. Run that back. He's still correcting something. We 2 plays in, we done blitz and got the ball back for the offense. We did what we knew how to do. We was on the same page. Job for us is 3 and out, aggressive, gap sound, very disciplined defense. All right? Players who trust you, they play hard for you. I could walk through a wall right now for my coach, my high school coach. He's got to be 78, 79 years old. I'm 54. He called me, put this Bengay on, coach. I'm there. And half the guys that I play with will feel the same way. Shout out to the NOW. All right. People who fear you, they play safe. They don't want to make a mistake. They don't want you to be all in their face. Well, here's the problem. If you don't practice hard during the week, in the game, you make that mistake, it's going to show up on the field. You cannot tell me that doesn't work like that. And safe doesn't win you championships. That's what we're in it for, right? Not the pay, the championships. A lot of y'all want to walk around, beat your chest. I won this, I won it. No, you coached the team that did that. All right. Number 4, consistency, baby. Your best practice habits is showing up the same way every single day. Same energy, Monday through Thursday. Same standard at 6 a.m. as you have at 6 p.m. Same accountability in the first week as it was in the last week of the season. Players feel inconsistent before they ever even feel like they noticed it. When a coach's standard fluctuates, players' effort fluctuates. Build a practice culture that is consistent. It has a purpose. It's high tempo. It's built on correction, not criticism. All right? Got me? I'm glad you got me. I'm glad you're rocking with me. This is what separates programs from pickup games. And lo and behold, we've had some pickup games. Hey, listen to me. Lesson number 4. Your player development is bigger than your scheme. This is mind-boggling to me for the most. Here's the thing nobody tells first-year coaches about development. Most coaches develop techniques. Elite coaches develop the entire athlete. Not only do they develop the entire athlete, but most coaches who want these elite positions, they also have 2 and 3 deep situations if they have the number. I've been in places where all they wanted to do was work the ones. And then when one of the ones go down, the 2 goes in, and we can't call that. No, we never got them ready. So player development, we have that pyramid for it. Breaks down into 4 different levels. You have a base level, that's technique. That's where most coaches live. How do you stance? How do you fire off the ball? How do you fire off the line? How do you break on the football? Technique matters absolutely, but technique alone won't win the game for you. When the stakes are high and the crowd is loud, they into it. You got that 13th man over there kicking it because 12 is the coaches, 13 is the fans. The other team just scored 2 touchdowns in a row. How do you respond? Well, we got to move it to the second level. That's football IQ. A player with a high football IQ sees the game before it happens. He recognizes the formation. He identifies the leverage and his purposes. He processes, information fast. Listen, this can be taught, but nobody does it. Let's run a play. Hey, let's run pistol right, toss sweep right. So basic. But if you have the information sitting right there for them, they can see what's going on. Quarterbacks are not taught to read coverages. It's a cover 2. He's in sky. No. Your job as a coach is to raise every player's football IQ through film study, through walkthroughs, through teaching moments. Before we hit a drill, we bird dog it. One of the kids said, Coach, what's bird dog? Bird dog is we're going to walk through it so you can understand it. Once they understood, they was like, Coach, I'm rocking this. Yeah, I know. Let's get to it. All right. Film study is not optional for high IQ football players. It's not optional for high IQ programs. Put your best player in front of a film every 10 minutes a day and teach them to see what you see. That's all you got to do. Put them in front of in front. Hey, bring them huddle. Put them in front of huddle and teach them to see what you see. That's a competitive advantage. Most programs overlook at the high school level. I know. I've been there. The third level is confidence. All right. Definitely confidence. A technically sound player without confidence will hesitate at the worst moment. You've seen it. I've seen it. The hesitation doesn't come from physical limitations. It comes from a player who doesn't believe in what he build confidence through reps. Build confidence through positive reinforcement after the correct execution. Build confidence by letting players know what they're doing right, not what they're doing wrong. And then last but not least, that next level, the top of the pyramid is leadership. A player who leads doesn't wait for the coaches to set the tone. He holds his teammates accountable. He sets the standard in the weight room. He talks on the field and he talks in the locker room. They're all the players every program needs. And these are the players you develop. They don't just show up. Find your leaders early, invest in them, give them ownership, let them lead the stretch, let them run the film walkthrough, let them speak in team meetings. When your players lead, you don't have to do nothing but be there everywhere at once. Nah, that's not how it goes. Your coaching will carry itself. Now, lesson number 5. Coaching is the real playbook. I've saved this for last because guess what? It's the most important thing I could tell you. You can have the best scheme in your district. You can have the most talented roster. You can have a perfect practice script. And if your coach is broken, none of it even matters. Coaching before scheme principle is the foundation of every coach's corner teachings. All right. Coaching determines whether your players fight for each other when it's 4th and goal, down by 3, whether your locker room stays together after a loss, whether your best players set the standard or drag it down, whether your coaches communicate or compete with each other. You can't have that. That's ego tripping. And whether your program survive adversity. Coach is not a speech. Coach is not a motto on the wall. Culture is what happens when nobody's watching. It's how your players treat their equipment manager. It's how your team walks off the field after a bad performance. It's what gets said in the huddle when the game is on the line. As a first year coach, you're starting from scratch. That's actually an advantage. You get to determine your culture right then, right there, right now. Before the habits form, before the bad traditions take root, before anyone knows what to expect. Now, here's a 3-step culture installation process I like to do. Define it, step 1. What does your program stand for? Not your wins and loss record. What does your program stand for? Accountability, brotherhood, discipline, excellence. I love that. Make sure every coach on your staff can recite them. Right? Model number 2. Step number 2, model it. You are the coach. If you want disciplined players, be the most disciplined person in the building. If you want players who work hard, outwork everyone. All right. If you want players who communicate, be the most communicative coach on your staff. First year coaches who demand things that they don't model lose the locker room very fast. And then step 3 is protect it. This is the hardest one. When players who are especially a talented player violate your culture, you have a decision to make. And that decision tells your entire program who you are. If you protect the standard over the player status, the locker room respects you forever. But if you protect the player's status over the standard, you just showed everyone your culture is not crap. Conditional culture doesn't survive a tough season. So protect it, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. You feel me? All right. Now, before you go, let's lock this in. 5 things nobody tells you before your first season in high school coaching. So number 1, players don't follow playbooks. They follow standards. Write yours down before day 1. Number 2, communication is your most powerful coaching tool. Eliminate confusion before it becomes chaos. Hey, number 3, this culture determines game performance. Build your practice before you even build your scheme. Number 4, develop the full athlete, not just the technique, the football IQ, the confidence, and the leadership are what the players need to perform under pressure. Number five, culture is real. It's the real playbook. Define it, model it, protect it. All right. Here's the coach reframe I want you to carry into your season. Leadership programs don't rise to this occasion. They fall back on their standards. What you building right now, before your first snap, before your first game, before your first adversity, that's what the players will fall back on when it matters the most. Don't skip the foundation. Don't rush the culture. And don't let week one catch you with your system down to your knees. All right? Build the program first. The wins will follow. You got me? All right. Now, if you want anything close to the exact system I've built, the practice structure set, grab the first year coaches free lead magnet. All right. Just grab it. I'm going to leave you a link in the description below. It's the resource that you need. It's got all the framework that you need to be a survivor as a first year head coach, whether it's high school, whether it's youth. It's even got the survivor if you want to just be a first year coach, period. The link will be in the description below. And if this video added any value to your coaching, drop me a comment below. Tell me one thing you're going to implement before your first practice. I try to read every single one of these comments, man. Check this out. I am Mr. Anthony Porter, and this is the Coaching Corners Network, where we build programs from the ground up. See ya.